Hey, everybody, welcome to the Soccer Sharps, a soccer betting podcast. Jordan, we're here for some midweek EPL action. It's only EPL on this show, so if you want some more action, baby, stick around. Here we go.
Martial, Herrera, Ibrahimovic! Oh my God, an insane goal! I've just seen the most insane goal I have ever seen on a football pitch. Balotelli, Aguero!
Well, Jordan, American football is done. We turn our attention to European football, soccer, because that's what we cover here on this show. Jordan, it's a midweek EPL, all EPL show. And I think it's getting to be about that time where the listeners can outright fade, at least my plays. Just take the opposite. I made them easy for you this week. I'm going to make them very clear, very fadeable. It's an up or down bet. And that's up to you guys to sort of decide how you want to attack it. But Jordan, how you doing today?
I'm doing all right, Dev. I had a slightly better weekend than you did, but nothing to write home about. I went 2 and 3 on my plays. Of course, the two I hit were the bigger prices, plus 140, plus 110, so that helped a little bit. But yeah, it was a rough outing. Some bad beats in there, though, Dev. Some bad beats. We go again. That's all we can do. And yeah, I like that this is an all EPL show. Just focus on one league here. And we're not going to be dealing with the Prem this upcoming weekend because it's FA Cup weekend, something we don't cover on the show. So we'll be dealing with on the continent leagues over the weekend. So it's okay that we're neglecting them this midweek. So our focus is on you, England.
England. Well, George, let's dive into it, shall we? It starts on Tuesday. This is tomorrow when we're recording this. It's Chelsea against Leeds United. This one sees Chelsea as home favorites of a full goal, -1. Total is set at 2.75. Jordan, both these teams on the weekend winning in a convincing 3-1 against their respective opponents, and now they face off against one another. What do you think about this matchup?
I think we might see a scoreline that's similar to those 3-1s, Dev. I like goals in this one. Look, Leeds have proven that they're up for the fight here. A lot of people had them down as relegation fodder this season, and that while they're not entirely safe, they're certainly putting in performances that make you feel pretty confident they're going to stay up. And I think they'll go to Stamford Bridge with a bit of confidence. They did get thumped by Arsenal recently, but apart from that game, they've done quite well, given a good count of themselves, and they're scoring goals, which is important. Because while this Chelsea team have looked pretty good overall under Liam Rossinier, they are not convincing me defensively, right? They are conceding goals. You can get at this Chelsea team, home or away. And I think Leeds have the players to do it. So I'm going with one of the classics here, Dev. Both teams to score, yes, and over 2.5 goals. Or I'm sorry, actually, slightly different, a little more hand-wringing here. Both teams to score, yes, and under 5.5 goals at -110. Yeah, look, we can see some thrillers here in Chelsea games under Liam Rossinier. Against my West Ham United, they had a 3-2. They also had a 3-2 with Arsenal, the EFL Cup. So, maybe a little nervy taking an under 5.5, but I feel pretty comfortable fading that there will be 6 goals in the match. So I do like both teams to get on the score sheet. Really, it's just trying to get that price into range. So I'm tacking on the under 5.5.
Nice, Jordan. Well, you are correct in saying that under Rossinier, there's been more goals. Chelsea since Christmas, so even before Rossinier, or I guess he took over right around then. It was on the 1st, I think, that they sacked their last coach, Maresca. But yeah, so Chelsea number 1 in expected goals for, and actually they are 6th worst for expected goals allowed in that same time frame. So lots of goals at both ends for this team. So I'm with you, Jordan. I like goals here. I'm going to play it straight up. I'm going to make this easily fadeable for the listeners. We're going to go with that over 2.75. It's -125 right now. That number's been sort of ticking between 2.75 and 3 for the regular total. Probably will be like a flat 3 by kickoff. I like it there too. I don't mind it there either, because you're going to need the 4 goals to get the full cash. This way, if it hits 3, at least I will get paid half and then push the other half. And these two teams do meet head to head. We've seen over 2.5 in 5 of the last 6 meetings. And I mentioned the weekend scores. So every chance there's some goals here, Jordan. It's fun to root for. So there we go. And this is a good time to tell you guys, if you are watching along with us, if you're live here, we see a number of you guys. You jump in the chat. Let us know what you think about these matches, what you're playing for this week. Midweek can be a little bit tricky. Who's in, who's not, who's injured, that kind of thing. So you might want to check lineups, but let us know what you're thinking on these matches. We'd love to hear from you guys. So let's move on to our next matchup we're going to take a look at here. It's Tottenham Hotspur against Newcastle United. This one sees Spurs as home dogs here of 1/4 goal plus 0.25 on the Asian handicap. The total is set at 2.75. Jord, we were both on Spurs as underdogs over the weekend. Christian Romero, loose cannon, gets a red card in the first, 25 minutes, and then it's pretty much toast from there. They end up losing 2-0. Pretty frustrating. Red card, kind of just sinks the bet right away. Pretty much no chance they were going to cover at that point. Maybe could have pushed. And then Newcastle, I believe, losing outright over the weekend. They've been struggling, losing at home to Brentford. So what do you think about this matchup now with Newcastle traveling down to Tottenham?
Yeah, Dev, that was, red cards, just bet killers in many different ways, right? They can ruin a spread. Especially with a team like Spurs, where, yes, it was 0-0 at the time, but they don't have the personnel to hunker down and play that 0-0 out, which sometimes teams that go down to 10 men can do. So we were screwed there. Also, if you had an automatic over killer, the red card, there's all kinds of shit that a red card ruins. We hate to see them. And look, Deb, you said it. These teams, Newcastle had that thriller with Brentford. Can they be trusted? I mean, certainly. I mean, that was at St. James's Park. Usually we think they're more reliable there. Here they're on the road, but they're traveling to a Spurs team who are shockingly bad at home. So a little bit of a rock and a hard place here. 2 teams that are the model of inconsistency right now in the Premier League. Although, ironically, both doing quite well in Champions League. So, yeah, this is another one, Dev. I don't want to mess with the side at all here. I do think Spurs 2-1 at home on the money line here is a little bit rich given what we've seen from Newcastle recently, but Spurs are like a walking hospital case. Romero's now suspended for this game and many others. They just don't have the horses out there to really compete, except for scoring goals. So I'm going to goals here again, Dev. I don't see how we don't find goals in this one. Both teams score yes, -175. This one I am going to tack on over 2.5, basically bringing that total down slightly to help me out here. I can cash on 3 goals as long as each team contributes at least one. So both teams to score yes and over 2.5 goals, coming in at -105. This is a data play. It's a situation play. I think these teams both oblige for us.
Yeah, Jordan, I'm right there with you. I'm just going with that straight up over once again, over 2.75 at -111.
Actually, I think you got a slightly better price on that.
Okay.
You got in before the cards were made. You got -108. So a few cents better there, Dev. Nicely done.
Nice. Yeah, I'll take it. And these 2 teams met at St. James's Park. It was a 2-2. And Spurs don't like to score goals. Now, missing Christian Romero and Kevin Danso's still out, injured. It's going to be a makeshift back line. There's maybe Archie Gray playing right back. Pedro Porro's still out. Jed Spence is probably out as well. And I just think they're going to get cooked in the back. Now, are they going to put 5 behind the ball and just sit back with some Thomas Frank trash home play? Could be. And that might kill this over. But if it gets into a little bit of a transition match, I definitely think Newcastle is just going to destroy here. It's very odd to see a team that is in the same boat essentially as Spurs. They're both they're not safe from danger. We're in 12th and 15th, 3 points between them. they're not out of a relegation battle, but that's the nature of the table this year, right? It's like 3 points between 12 places. But to have Newcastle be favored by a quarter of a goal is a little it's a little sketch to me. So I'm just going to stick with the total here, Jord, over 2.75. I mentioned their last time meeting. We have seen over 2.5 goals between these two clubs in 8 of the last 10, with both teams scoring in 8 of those 10. So I see where your head's at with your bet, Jord. I'm just going to stick with the 2.75. Just want to make myself easily fadeable for anyone who is watching. Bob in the chat says this game is a proper EPL bum fight. Yeah,
Love the
it
bum
feels
fights.
that way. We love a bum fight. Yeah, it should be entertaining. That's what I'm hoping for. It's just entertainment. But Jordan, let's move on. This one also taking place on Wednesday, and it's your West Ham United hosting Manchester United.
Irons.
This one, the Irons are 3/4 of a goal underdogs at home, plus 0.75. The total is set at 3.25. Jordan, we mentioned Manchester United defeating Tottenham over the weekend, and your West Ham United picking up 3 points, a big 3 points, away to Burnley, which they needed, could go a long way in that relegation fight. Now they turn around, they host the red hot Man United. What do you think about this matchup, Jordan?
Yeah, Jeff, huge result for the Hammers over the weekend, with only their second clean sheet of the campaign, which is wild and sort of funny because they rotated goalkeepers for that one and put in Hermansen, and he was at the helm for their other clean sheet this season. So does Nuno have some decisions to make in goal? I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, Dev, happy. Look, I mean, you look at West Ham right now, they are in the relegation zone. You look at that table, it doesn't look great. But if you look at the EPL form table over the last 5 match days, they're right up there in the top 5, picking up more points than 15 other teams. So, yeah, it's gotten better for West Ham. They're scoring goals. They're competing in matches. Won 4 of the last 5. The only one they lost was the Chelsea game where they lost at the death 3-2, but we're up 2-0 in that match. So we are seeing better performances. Man, I don't need to tell anyone, are seeing better performances under Michael Carrick since he's taken over. So both of these teams in good form here, picking up wins, scoring goals. I think this one could be pretty entertaining, Dev. The first thing that I'm drawn to here is the West Ham team total. Over 1.5 goals at plus 162. I think that's a little too big given the goal scoring form Irons find themselves in right now, and given the way Man United are playing, they will get into a basketball match. They have no qualms with that. I do expect both teams to find the net here. I do expect it to be an overs match. Spread's a little bit high for me, but what I've done here, Dev, is what I do with West Ham a lot lately, certainly since on this winning run they've been on, and I'm cutting the game in half. I'm cutting that team total in half, really. I'm taking West Ham to score a goal in the first half, in the first 45 minutes. This is something they've done in all of those wins that I mentioned, and in that Chelsea loss, of course, with 2 goals in the first half. They're a first half team. They're coming out of the traps hot. They're trying to get a lead because they know that they kind of have to outscore their opponents because they do not keep clean sheets, although that did just happen against Burnley. But as I say, only their second clean sheet of the campaign. It's not something they can rely on. So unfortunately, the way they have to pick up points is by outscoring the opponents, and they're starting to find those goals. So, yeah, I like them to start hot here. And they don't have to score the first goal or anything. Just get me a goal in the first 45. That's coming in at plus 125. Not quite as good as that team total, which I wouldn't put anyone off of, but I'm keeping it, depending on how you look at it, a little simpler or a little more complicated. But yeah, West Ham to score in the first half, plus 125.
Well, I'm going on that team total, Jordan. I'm going to go with West Ham to score twice at home here, plus 162. It's a good price. Look, I can see why we're getting such value on it. Since Christmas, Manchester United are only behind Arsenal in expected goals allowed and goals allowed through their it's 8 matches that have been played in the EPL. So defensively, they've been much better, especially under Carrick. They moved to that back 4 instead of playing the back 3 Amarim was demanding. but I don't know if I like the opponents they've had. Aside from Manchester City, it hasn't really been a murderer's row there. I mean, Arsenal, but they did give up 2 goals in that match. Gave up 2 goals to Fulham. West Ham can get on the score sheet for sure. Can they do it twice? Maybe the home crowd gives them some life, some energy. You mentioned that they have no choice but to try to accrue as many points as possible to try to stave off relegation. They're only 3 points behind Nottingham Forest, so they just can't afford to lose any more matches. Well, they can afford to lose some, but depending on what Forest does. But I just think this is a great price, George, to get a home team to score twice plus 162. Yes, United have been much better defensively since the turn of the year, but it just feels smoke and mirrors to me. Look, if we try to fade Manchester United on the weekend, red card ruined it. We'll never know. So is this a spot where they can still win the game, but maybe just give up a couple goals? That's what I'm hoping for too.
Yeah, absolutely, Devin. Look, I mean, West Ham have covered this team total in each of their last 5 games, 6 games if you want to include the QPR match that was in the Cup. So they are covering that spread, if you will, that team total line. And Man U have given them up. They've kept 2 clean sheets under Carrick, and they've conceded twice in each of the other 2 games under Carrick. So kind of 50-50 shot, but as you say, given what West Ham have to do and what they're playing for, I think we see a pretty open contest and should be a fun one.
Yeah, and look, if Jared Bowen's in the lineup, that guy's a problem, okay, on any team.
Oh, also, Crescencio Somerville, anytime goal scorer. The guy scored in 5 of his last 6 matches. The guy's hot.
Nice.
Hot.
Nice. Yeah, he's looked quite good. Well, we're going to move on to Wednesday's matchups. Thank you guys all so much for watching, tuning in on the podcast app. If you take the time to give us a like, a subscribe, follow the show, hit the little notification bell so you know every time we go live or post a new video. Really helps us out, and it's good karma for your bets. So if you've got the time, if you've got the ability, click that subscribe. We do appreciate it. And let's move on, Jordan, to our Wednesday matchups. It starts with Aston Villa against Brighton and Hove Albion. This one sees Villa as home favorites of a half a goal, and the total is set at 2.75. Jordan, Villa on the money line, straight up favorites to win, odds on. What do you think about this matchup?
Well, Dev, spoiler alert, the reason this card is on the show is because of me. Looking for ways to fade Villa again. I did it over the weekend, did not work out. Once again, had Bournemouth to score in the first half, much like I did with West Ham just then. Boy, it wasn't for lack of trying, man.
Yeah,
they put up the big chances. They put up the XG. Once again, fraudulent Villa getting outperformed in every statistical category, but coming away with a result in a 1-1 draw there. Oh, man, this team drives me crazy. Dev, look, I'm not going to take them to lose the match. I'm not fading them in that direction. I'm going into the props market here. And I'm going with Brighton's shots prop, team shots here. Now, The reason I'm doing that, Dev, I've mentioned this before on the show, and the numbers are still bearing it out. And so I think this is a value bet here. Aston Villa are allowing the 6th most shots per 90 in the Premier League. To an average of 12.92 shots allowed per match. Brighton, on the other hand, are the 7th highest in terms of taking shots per 90 in the EPL, and they are averaging exactly 13.00 shots per 90. Their team total for this match is lined at 11.5. So I'm going over here. Over 11.5 shots in the match for Brighton. That's coming in at plus 110. You can play over 10.5 shots at minus 138. It's a little juicy for me, but I honestly think you can ladder this one if you wanted to up to about, I don't think I'd go any higher than 13.5, but I could see them getting 14 shots or so in this one. Bournemouth just put up 22 shots against Villa. Of course, they were at home. Slightly different here, but it's just the way Unai Emery sets up, and it's no coincidence that they are averaging 13 shots allowed per game. And hey, that's Brighton's average in shots that they take. So we just need them to go 1 shot less than their average to cash this bet. So I like that here. Villa's giving it up. Brighton's putting it up. Brighton, team total shots over 11.5 at plus 110.
Nice, Jord. Yeah, well, I like where you went with this one. I stayed off of it. You mentioned Villa getting outperformed statistically, and then I don't know what Brighton is. I'm so confused by their matches. They get blanked by Palace on the weekend, and then one thing you could rely on was that they were going to score a goal in the match. Now they get shut out against their big rivals, Crystal Palace. And
the American Chris Richards said no.
Hell yeah. Yeah, the new Gahey, Chris Richards. Brighton and Villa, when they met in the South Coast earlier this season, they which actually wasn't that long ago. It looks like that was in early December, and it was a thriller. 4-3 Aston Villa win. And yet these teams are on massive under streaks. Villa under 2.5, 5 of the last 6. Brighton under 2.5, 5 of the last 7. I don't want to touch it. Could go any number of ways. I'm staying off it, Jordan, but I wish you luck for the shots. And it's a good way to look.
Yeah, that's fair, Devin. That's exactly why I didn't take goals with this one, because Villa, as I mentioned on the last show, a little bit stingier defensively now. So we don't need goals here, just the shots. And in that previous meeting, the reverse fixture that ended 4-3 to Villa, Brighton did register 16 shots, which would have easily cashed this total. So come on, Brighton, just pop off, baby.
Popping off from distance. Well, we got one more matchup for you guys. This one also on Wednesday. If we didn't cover one of the games that you wanted to see, jump in the chat or leave a comment below. We'll definitely respond to it, let you know our thoughts. You can also jump into our Discord server. There's a lot of fun in there. It's free to join. There's a link in the description of this episode. Our final matchup, Jord. It is finally one of the title challengers. It's Manchester City hosting Fulham. This one sees Man City as big home favorites here of a goal and a half, minus 1.5. Total set at a flat 3. An absolute thriller. Liverpool versus Man City on the weekend. Fantastic. I had an under in that one, Jordan. Under 3. Thought I was cruising at halftime. It was 0-0.
So annoying.
Hell, even till like the 80th minute and there's no scoring. And I was like, you know what? I just might hit a bet. But nope, then it popped off. Probably should have lost if not for a goal getting called back.
Yeah, that controversy saved you. Yeah.
Yeah, saved a push. So still not a win. Fantastic weekend for me. Jordan, and then the Fulham side of this, I love this Fulham team. I just think they're so much fun. They've punched above their weight. They play good soccer. It's just fun to watch, even though they lost to Everton 2-1. At least they're playing the right kind of soccer. But what do you think about this matchup, Jordan? Fulham traveling to the Etihad.
Well, Dev, as plucky and exciting as Fulham may be, they just cannot get it done against Manchester City. Talk about bogey teams here. In the last 20 head-to-head meetings, Man City, 19 wins and 1 draw. In fact, Marco Silva, as coach of Fulham, is on the longest losing streak against an opposing team. He has never won against Manchester City. 16 straight meetings. He's not gotten a win. So some of those matches in those 20 were before Silva, but 16 straight, the longest streak of losing in the Premier League against any one opponent. And because I'm going to pick Man City, he's probably going to break that streak now. This will be Fulham's first win, I'm sure. But I got to go with my gut on this and with the data, and I just think this is a good spot for City. They just did dig deep and get that result against Liverpool, winning at Anfield. Haaland scoring his first goal at Anfield. I think you said that was the only stadium he hadn't scored at yet in the Prem. He's done that now. It was a penalty, but still. And you can see it on our thumbnail for this show here. Haaland ripping his shirt off. Not shirtless, still has Under Armour, but still gets a card. So, look, was very excited about it. That was a big result for City. Pep came out afterwards saying, we just have to breathe down Arsenal's necks now. We're not out of this. We are in this title race. And they come here to the Etihad where they do their best work. Something tells me this is going to be 2-3-0 Man City. However, Fulham, to their credit, have covered this spread, this plus 1.5 spread, in the vast majority of their matches, I can't give you an exact number, but I'm just going through it here. They tend to cover that. They do not lose by a margin very often. But if ever there was a team to beat them by a margin, I think it would be this Man City team at home in their current form, especially with all the hoodoo head-to-head that they have over this Fulham team. So I'm going to go with where it's lined here, Dev. It's a little rich, but I think it's going to be a winner. It's what I'm hoping for anyway. City minus 1.5 on the Asian handicap at my favorite price, even money.
Yeah, it's a bold swing, I think, Jordan. These two teams met earlier this season. It was an absolute thriller. It was a 4-5. Man City 5 goals.
Wild.
Fulham.
Wild.
Yeah, great. We love a 9-goal match. That'd be fun. All the overs cash. Yeah, Jordan. Head-to-head, Manchester City, 19 straight wins. Crazy number. However, in 8 of the last 9, we've seen over 2.5 goals. 6 of the last 8, both teams have scored. So that's where I'm going, Jordan. I'm going to go with both teams score and over 2.5. The classic. Now, you could just play both teams to score yes on its own, minus 125. But, Fulham's not going to... City's going to score at least twice. Can Fulham get on the score sheet is the question for me. You could even look at that Man City team total, but you have to play it to over 2.5 on its own. It's plus 120. The bookies aren't so sure that Fulham can score. But look, Harry Wilson in incredible form. Smith Rowe's been doing work. Raul Jimenez, the American Anthony Robinson, trying to find his form. Pep likes him. He could be auditioning for Man City here. Maybe he'll have a good game. So can they get on the score sheet? That's what I'm hoping for. Just going with that both teams score and over. I got it at plus 110, Jordan. I thought that was a pretty good price.
I think it is a good price, Dev, and motivated minds in the chat kind of taking both of our plays and putting them together. Man City and both teams to score yes. Man City on the money line and both teams to score yes. That's got to be a decent price. Yeah, yep. Absolutely. So I like that. I'm on City. You're on goals. Can we get a 3-1 Man City? Cash both plays? Something like that?
Yeah. Let's just do the 5-4 again, just for our entertainment purposes.
Well, we got to make it 6-4 or 5-3. I need the minus 1.5. So.
Oh, right. That's right. I'm sorry about that. Well, that's going to do it for us, Jord. But look, before we get out of here, there's something we got to do.
We do indeed, Dev, because it's one thing to talk about these matches, and it's quite another to put our money where our mouths are and pay the bookie.
Chuck, I'm going to tell you something. You have that fucking 200 in my hands tomorrow. If you ain't got the 200 in my fucking hands tomorrow, I'll break every fucking bone in your body.
Well, it seems like my co-host forgot to put in the video that shows the official plays. So we're going to see if he's going to do that. And I will vamp here and tell you guys to once again give us a like, a follow, a subscribe. We are the Soccer Sharps. We cover all European leagues. We look for our best bets of the weekend. We share them here. We break the games down. We've got Champions League coming up next week. Ooh, first legs. I cannot wait. We'll look at some futures for that one as well, because that is part of it. You can get some great prices. I think, George, you cashed on PSG last season to win the Champions League. Yeah,
I did indeed.
You got a great price, 8-1 or something.
That's absolutely right, Dev.
So we'll definitely be looking at some of those futures.
You remember that?
I mean, kill for a win like that. With how this season's been going for me, come on.
Dev having a little technical difficulties here. Stand by.
I mean, I know my plays. I could just tell them to you.
Not necessary, mate. It's coming. Yeah. But we'll tell people now, while it's uploading to our studio here, that you should always bet responsibly. Okay? You've heard Dev and I talk enough about how awful this season has been going for us, but we manage our bankroll so it can't cripple us. And that way, the worst thing that happens to us is we feel like frauds, question ourselves, don't know why we're doing a show. But other than that, we're not not too down and out because our bankroll hath been managed.
Nice. Yes, Jordan. Well, we got the official plays up, so I'll throw it up on the screen for the YouTube watchers and read it out for the podcast listeners. I've got Chelsea and Leeds United over 2.75 at minus 125. Spurs vs Newcastle United over 2.75 at minus 108. West Ham United team total over 1.5 at plus 162. Nice plus money play there, Jord. And then finally for me, it's Man City and Fulham, both teams to score, yes, and over 2.5 at plus 110. What do you got, Jord?
Yeah, Dev, brings a tear to my eye to see your biggest price on the card. My West Ham United, love to see it.
What could go wrong?
Right? And Chelsea Leeds, I've got both teams to score in under 5.5 goals, minus 110. In Spurs, Newcastle United, I've got both teams to score in over 2.5 at minus 105. In the West Ham match, I'm pro West Ham too in the first half. West Ham first half team total over 0.5 at plus 125, also a nice price. Brighton, team total shots over 11.5 as they travel to Birmingham to face Aston Villa. That's coming in at plus 110. And finally, Manchester City minus 1.5 on the Asian handicap at even money.
Right on, Jord. Thank you guys so much for listening. Give us a like, a follow, subscribe. We appreciate it. I've said it enough times. This show,
hit the thumbs up button. For those of you boomers
right.
who don't know what liking a video means, that little thumbs up button. Just hit that.
We will be back Thursday evening to cover the weekend's action. And then next Monday, 1 week from today, will be the Champions League. Any last words for the people, Jord?
Well, I already got my PSA in about bankroll management. You already talked about looking forward to Champs League. Can't wait for that either. I'm just going to say, come on. Let's make some money.
Let's make some money.
Martial.